having a good day. It's my tub that I've been keeping some Ficus Microcarpa cuttings in. Let me give you a quick look at the other side, and I'll just kind of give you a little hint where they came from and everything. Or not a hint, I'll tell you where they came from. These are cuttings I took during our COVID lockdown of March of 2020. So they are pretty much exactly 4 years old. That was spring break when I actually took these cuttings. I think they started, showing some signs of life in mid-April or so. I think today's like March 20th, maybe 19th, something like that. So I'm sure they are about a year old from when I took them. What I did is most of these cuttings started out about the size of my thumb or maybe a little bit bigger. And I had taken a taller tree that I had and I chopped it probably, I'm going to say like in February. And then when I saw it starting to bud out, I took the cuttings right then. And again, with my philosophy of as it's budding out, it's actually making roots. And so that's when they would take. And every one of them struck. I think at one point it was between 8 and 10 in here. I'd have to go back and look at those pictures and count. I'm showing you those pictures now, but I'm not really counting them or anything. I gave away 2 that I can remember. I put one on the SpongeBob statue. I put the one on the starting over the rock. And then I think I know which one. Oh, the twins are also from this group here. Honestly, with all this growth, I mean, before I start work, I'm just going to show you this. All of these roots, and I mean this comes out of the side of the bucket, comes way up here. All of those roots have grown in the past year and a half because I got a new pallet, and then I actually got some pieces of my neighbor's shed after the hurricane, and I put the pallet on top of the piece of the shed, basically using the shed for like a weed barrier, and then having it up on the pallet so it's up off the ground and can drain and everything. I don't want to set it right on the shed. And this thing actually grew down, hit the piece of the shed, and just headed on over until it started finding some soil on the end of it and everything. What I'm going to do today is I'm just going to pick the biggest one, and I'm going to harvest the biggest one. And I do believe, well, it's funny when I look at them from different angles, they look a little bit different, but I do believe that's going to be this one here. There are 4 of these guys left now. Obviously, even longer than the year and a half. It's been about 2 years, maybe a little bit longer since I've done anything with it, any cutting at all. I'm going to cut all of it back a little bit. I'd like to leave plenty of growth. I mean, no need to defoliate everything and cut everything back. But I'm going to just knock off some of these super long shoots. Might even just take each one of these longer shoots. When you let them go like this long, they'll get some other shoots up in here off of them. And so I'll take them at least back to there, if not further. It's got plenty of stored energy in here. I mean, I can pretty much cut back as far as I want. But no need in overdoing it, except for maybe the one that I am harvesting. The one I'm harvesting, I probably will go ahead and cut that guy quite a bit more than the other ones. And first, just kind of like blindly downsize it a little bit so I can just kind of get in and see what I'm doing a little bit better. Thing just really has a ton of foliage all over it. And the amazing thing is, I have all of my ficus sitting in full sun, but I actually have this kind of in a place where it gets a ton of sun in the summer, but also gets a ton of shade in the winter. But it doesn't seem to mind it too much. Still can't really see much in there yet. Alright, let me go ahead and take care of these roots. Alright, give you guys a little bit of a closer look there. Alright, so I've got the one I'm going to harvest right up here, front and center. I know you guys probably can't see too much. I'm going to try to make it to where I can even see a little bit more. There's two branches coming right off of the trunk at the same place. One of them's kind of going up the way it should. The other one's dropping straight down. Branch coming out of the very bottom, almost creating a little bit of a bulge. You would think it would kind of work a little bit more to make it to where there wouldn't be any reverse taper towards the apex, but almost creating a little bulge there. But this is actually like this piece. I don't know if I'm going to cut it back all the way to the trunk. Has aerial roots hanging off of it. I could easily plant that. And then these two are also kind of pointing straight down. I'd like to keep the branch down there, just have some growth lower on the trunk. You should be able to see it a little bit better now. The crazy growth these things do get when you just leave them alone like this. It's amazing how uninteresting it really is, and how much, if you're going to try to make something of it, you really do have to work it as you go. That should enable me to just be able to see, holy cow, that branch is going way out there. I'll cut down to the one growth, see what it looks like when I get it out of there. And then just while I've got it open like this, take a look at some other things. That I'm just going to hit with knob cutters real quick. Right there, it's one of the only ones that doesn't have like apical growth coming very well or very close to that previous chop that I did. While it's got all this growth on there, I might as well get it down to some live wood. That might work. While it's doing all this crazy growth, at least allow it to be growing next to the wound instead of like far over to the side of it. I'm going to cut off this one piece that's just kind of growing into the tree I'm trying to take out. And I'll leave the rest of that. And then a few of these other branches I just kind of saw. Really does have some crazy growth. And that'll just kind of, as I grow them out a little more, I can now kind of see a little bit better. When I pull the one I'm going to take out today out, it'll let me see them even more. These two are super close. I hope they're not trying to fuse their roots underneath, but this one even has a couple of aerial roots growing towards that other one, so I am going to stick with choosing that one to take out. Alright, so as I'm looking at this thing, I can't tell if this is going to look really cool or take a long time to grow out when I get it out of there. Because boy is it odd looking. Trying to leave plenty of growth, but it seems like up here in the apex, instead of getting something that decided to become the apex, it kind of grows all out in multiple directions. I'm going to take some pieces of that off, and I'm going to count on this being the last branch, but I definitely don't want that little piece there. I don't really want this upper branch on there. Anyhow, I'm going to try to pull some of these leaves out. This soil is super dense, used potting soil, and for some reason I decided that since I wanted such a big bucket, I'd mix a bunch of huge lava rocks in there with it. Not the easiest stuff to harvest a piece out of here with, especially just, you know, like to try to save some longer roots, or what might make the debari anyway. Actually be able to maybe do that. Yeah. Yeah. Alright, so turning out a lot tougher than it was last time. Makes sense, it's been a couple years longer to get it entwined. You know, when you take a cutting and you put that rooting hormone right on the cut, you hope that the roots spread out. It's funny, it's got a whole bunch of roots spreading out but going right into the other trees with almost nothing coming towards the edge of the bucket. And I guess maybe there's some heat at the edge there, and maybe they like to grow into each other, whatever it may be. But this is actually one of the reasons why I keep dull tools around. I haven't used this on anything for a while. I do keep this kind of stuff. I try to pull most of these rocks out of here. And I'm just going to try to cut through some of this mat. It's just a dense mat of roots. There's a rock that I just hit there. Let's see. Didn't really pull rocks out of this side, so I'm probably going to run into a couple, a couple more roots, and there we go. Just going to plop this into this training pot here. But as tough as that was, almost makes me feel like harvesting the rest of them, but really no sense in it. They'll grow fine in here. What I'll do, as you guys probably saw, there's a big rip here, and I'll make the rip right where I just pulled that other one out. When I pulled this out, it had that little bit of root on there. I'm just gonna kind of throw that in there towards the bottom with some of that soil that came out. Alright, so able to take it outside, pretty much bare rooted too. There is that taproot that was holding us back so much, along with a ton of other ones. Right there, I don't know if you guys can see that, right there is exactly where the saw cut was when I did take the cuttings. Things really do get wild. I'm going to take care of a couple things that I probably could have taken care of while it was still in the bucket, but I don't know if you guys can see, there's a spot here where there was a branch, and then I guess I just cut that off. That's actually fresh. I just got it dirty when I was outside washing it, but then there's an arrowroot that wrapped all the way around. It's really small, and so I'm just going to take that one out. I know a lot of people go through a lot of work and trouble trying to grow area roots. Honestly, sometimes I get a little tired of them. I do like them. I tried to adjust you guys a little bit better. And then there's this aerial root here. While I've got it now, I mean, once I get in better substrate, the subsequent repots should go a lot better. But that was wrapping around, and now that I've got it out, I can actually use, let's see just how close to the trunk I'd want it. But now, you know, not perfectly straight, but definitely not wrapping around like it was. And then there's basically almost like 4 little branches coming off of this one spot here. That would be the lowest branch. All these aerial roots kind of coming off of that too. I'm gonna take care of this bottom one. I am going to leave that root there and straighten some of those out as well. Alright, a couple of them were just kind of twisting in there. And I've got so many trees that I've got resting almost like a cannon resting on its aerial roots. I'm going to try to get this one a little more straight up there. Was able to leave one. There's one growing tip here, one here, and what I'm thinking is going to be the apex. And then I did, this bigger part doesn't, but this part right here does. It's coming right up straight off the top of the branch. But what I'll do is I'll just leave that on there to help keep some sap flow going, and then cut it off later. I was considering lopping this off and letting this become the leader, but that is something I can take care of later down the line. And before I get the substrate and everything in there and go disturbing it, this one had a lot more growth coming up off the top than the other ones did. But once again, kind of missing that old chop there. And get all that down to some live wood. Give it some better chance to kind of heal itself over there. While I got my nub cutters in my hand, I'm going to go ahead and pop this guy off too. Alright, and let's see what we got. And one last time before I get it in there, this will actually give me a good idea of what I got. Even just looking at it myself, probably will keep it on the one side a little more than putting it right in the middle. Trying to keep some of these roots in tighter as I fill the substrate in there. As it grows, it'll get some more adventurous ones that'll start coming towards the edges. So I'd like the ones that are there now to be closer to the trunk. Yeah, they keep popping out. A couple of the longer roots, they're on. See, on that side, they kept coming to the edge of the pot. I mean, at this point, it's not gonna, they just keep sponging up on my and just cut that one off. Alright, and there we are. Got several design ideas, but at the same time right now I'll just let it focus on recovery and see what it gives me. It'll probably be late this season. It might be ready for a little bit of a cleanup of some sort, and then maybe get a good idea of what I want to do with it. I think it looks pretty good. Got it potted up. You can see there from the wet line there, maybe about a ½ inch higher than it was. I can reference the video here and know that I got like a little more nabari under there if I need it later.